Hi guys, welcome back to the shop. Hey, today I'm going to do a kind of a semi-product review. I bought this for my own use, so I'm not getting anything out of it or anything. I'm just going to go over, I guess, the appearance of the originals and the appearance of the new product, and just take you guys along on the ride so you can kind of tell what we're looking at, and let you make up your own mind whether something like this would be worth it for you. A few months ago, I bought a set of fork tubes off of eBay, and let's just say they weren't quite as they were advertised to be. They're still not a bad set, and I got them really cheap, 50 bucks I think, plus the shipping. And you know, they're really probably worth what I paid. But when I located these replacement tubes, I have been used to paying about $400 to have a pair re-chromed and reground. Now this is hard chrome plating, not decorative, not the stuff you'd put on a fender. There's a place in California that does decorative, the hard chrome plating. And the last set I got was over $400 for the pair. The next thing is to have them remade like I did on the TC125 Suzuki. There again, you're a little bit less. I had those done by forking by Frank, and when it was all said and done with, we were looking at about $375. And buying these, if they make them for yours, is very worth the money, in my opinion, as long as they're good quality stuff. These set me back a little over $200 for the pair. They don't make it for everything, but it looks like a lot of the Kawasaki, Suzuki, Yamaha, Honda, that kind of stuff, the more popular ones, they do have. And some of them may be a little more than that, but just go to the website and check it out yourself. I'm not going to tell you where I got them, but the brand is, I think they call it Dachi, D-A-C-H-I, Dachi, something like that. They're made in Japan, and these forks that I bought were for a 72, 73 Yamaha DT1 or RT1. These happen to be the RT1, the 360 Yamaha Enduro and the MX in the same year. So anyhow, let's get on with it. I've got the forks over here draining right now. I had just rebuilt them. I put new seals and everything in it, and I was just going to use them, but when I run across these forks, I thought, you know, other people, they're having the same issue I am, and these were really good forks. They didn't have the common rust on them that a lot of them do. There was a couple of pits, and I'll show you when I get the tubes out of the triple trees what I'm talking about. These are, like I say, they're actually really good, especially for what I paid. But they are going to leak. I know they will with the divots. Each one has one big divot, and then there's a lot of grinding marks or something up along the top. We'll go over that when I get them off of there. Anyhow, let me get them out of the triple tree and get them over on the table, and we'll take a look at them. All right, guys, I got them out of the triple trees, and I'm just going to show you what. Now, when he advertised this, he did show these two dimples right here. That one there and the same type of deal on this one. Now what caused those, I don't have a clue. But there were other issues such as the grinding marks up here, and I think this one here's got some also. Yeah, just on that one, I guess. But that wasn't the extent of it. When I got ready to rebuild them, as you know, I always do a run out check on the tubes, and they were not straight. They had been bent. So I spent quite a bit of time straightening them. So anyhow, enough of that. You know, we all get things on eBay that didn't quite live up to our expectations. But anyhow, I was going to use them, and I knew that they would probably leak from those little things, but I went ahead and put them together anyway. Then I discovered these tubes, these Dachi tubes. So I'm going to go ahead and start taking it apart, and we'll kind of look at them as we go, and I'll show you any differences that I notice and let you know how easy it is to install these things. As you guys know, it's much easier to take the bolt out of the bottom if you'll do it with the spring and the cap installed, because it gives it some pressure. So if you've got an impact, that's the best way to do it. And they usually just pop right loose. That one came loose, but it's not coming out. There it is. Okay. Now we'll take the cap loose from the top. And again, it's usually easier done if you do use an impact. And in reality, it looks like about all we need to do is probably push. We've got a snap ring up inside here. Let me get my tool out and I'll get that out of there. Okay, it's pretty easy so far. Let's just take a look at the tube here. Okay, this is the Dachi, and this is the original one. You can see the divot mark there that was on it. The chrome finish really looks nice on it. It's a little brighter, I think, than the original. Of course, the original is worn, where it's had years of dirt and grime between the seal and the tube here, kind of sanding the tube. And it's looking like the snap ring, and there's a recess in the bottom that goes up to about here. Looks like they're in the same place. and it looks like the threading in the tube is the same. So let's go ahead and install this thing. Oops, I don't have to clean anything on this one because these are all already been done. Okay guys, just as I was getting ready to put that in, I did run across a problem, and it's not a terrible one. Let me see if I can get you some light here where we can see inside the tube. Okay, you see there's a smaller area down there. There's kind of a ridge. I don't know how they created that, whether I'm sure that they turned it down to that area, but whatever they did, there was a lot of burrs on it, and it was preventing this piece from going down through it. And what I did, I've got it fixed, and it wasn't a big deal. I just took a rat tail file and went down there and just kind of went all the way around the circumference of it and knocked the burr off. And then I took them over and washed them in the solvent tank. But that was the first thing I've run across so far. So to just double check a lot of the stuff that I normally check, I'm also going to check the run out on these tubes. So I've got it sitting over here on the bench, and I've got it between centers here, or between a couple of rollers. And I'm just going to check them the way I usually do, right in the middle. And we'll give them a spin. Looks like I'm seeing about 3. 2 to 3. That's perfectly fine. I think I had it crooked here. Let me try it again. Yep, looks like 2. Okay, let's try the other one. And that one's better. That one's less than a half. Just seeing a little deflection there, not much. So that's, they're good and straight. I'll give them that. Both of these tubes were the same. I had to go in there with a file and just clean that off where it was kind of burred in there. All right, now let's try to see if we can assemble it. Yeah, slides right in there. All the way down. Okay. Let me get a flashlight. I just want to double check that snap ring has snapped in all the way. Yeah, looks good. So I think we're good on the snap ring groove, at least on that one. And then we've got the piece that goes on the end here. Okay. I'm gonna assemble this other one, and then we'll move over to the bench. It's easier to kind of finish it up over there. Okay, before I reassemble this, I want to just do a real quick check on the dimensions here. I'm getting 3396. This is the new tube. Okay, it's pretty consistent. If I can hold it right. I think I'm wobbling here. 3390. About 8, yeah. I think that's what I got up here. Yeah, 96. So it's pretty consistent there. Let's see. This is an old tube here. Yeah, it's got the dimple on it. $33.93. These, I'm going millimeters here. 33.98. So they're at least as eccentric as the originals, maybe a little more so actually in that case. So I'm going to go ahead and, I told you I was going to the bench, but I don't think I will. I think I'll just go ahead and get her done right here. I've got everything assembled here, I believe. And we'll just go down and see if we can at least get our bolt started right there. And remember that you have the fiber washer on the bottom of the bolt. If you don't have that on there, it will leak. Okay, I think I got it started. Yep, all right. Now the best way to do it is to get your spring. Spring, spacer, center and device, and your cap on. And again, make sure you've got a good O-ring. I've put all this stuff already when I rebuild it the first time, so everything should be good. Threads feel good. Okay, I think we run into another issue here. Seems that it doesn't go down all the way. You pull it back apart. Pull this out, and we'll just screw this in by hand and see if that's an issue. All right, that seems to be, you can see here. Okay guys, my camera shut off. I don't know how much is on there. I won't know until I add it to thing. But as you can see, when I screw this cap down all the way, we don't go all the way down. So that's another problem with these things that I'm seeing. And I'm down all the way, and I did this on both tubes. Here's the other one here. It's the same way. This one I've already got the spring in and everything. Oh no, I don't. I took the spring out. But this one here, the only thing that's in there is the nut. And it doesn't go down all the way. So we've got a ridge at the bottom. No, it's just not threaded far enough. That's the bottom line. Now, you know, I'm not into sending stuff back. I'd like to, I hate paying that much and not getting what I paid for. But let me get my other one here and see if I can make a comparison. Let me do a little looking. I think that it might be an issue that I can fix pretty easy. Let me do some measuring real quick and I'll bring you back. Okay guys, see if I can show you what's going on here. If you look right here, this is the original over here on this side. This is the stop. This is how where the threads start. This is the new one. The threads start a lot earlier. Let me get a measurement on it here. Sorry, I had to move you out of the way here so I could get my caliper in here. Okay, on the new one, we're looking at 1382 millimeters, where the threads start from the top. And 1722 on the original. Now let me screw the nut in there and see how far we really need to get it to fix the problem. Okay, I've taken the O-ring off, so I should be able to screw this in completely by hand. See if I can get some kind of a measurement here. Yep. .64 millimeters is the gap that we end up with right here. Uh, 166. So the problem is this piece right here is where it's hitting. It's hitting here because there's not enough of a space between here and the threads. So that's too short. So it's bottoming out right here, and it needs to be bottoming out here. So, there's a couple things we can do. What we should do is just send the dadgum things back. but how long is it going to take to get them repaired? I'm going to call them for sure. You can go in here with the lathe and cut out as far down as you need to go, which looks like here, let me do a little math real quick. About 4.5 millimeters. It probably doesn't need that much. It really only needs about 2, because that's the clearance we're getting here. You could do that. I think the threads are going the proper depth. Looks like. It's just that the space is too short here. Your only other alternative would be to make a washer, maybe, to go here to take up that slack. Either way, it's going to take a machining operation to do it. And if you go in here and cut this out, then of course you're probably going to need a tap to clean the threads up where you cut down to. Let me do some thinking. Okay guys, I think the easiest fix for this, besides sending them back and waiting till they make some new ones in Japan and send them to me, is to go ahead and spin up a couple of 2 millimeter washers to go to the top. That way it'll take up the slack, and it'll still be corrosion resistant, so I won't have any problem there, and it'll look like it should, I guess. But why should we have to do stuff like this? And it's not just 1 or 2 things. It happens a lot to aftermarket stuff. Again, I don't want to harp on the aftermarket, but it just seems to be a wag every time you get it. It's just a wild ass guess of how it's going to be and how it's going to turn out. And here again, the lathe is going to save the day. Now what I don't have is a piece of aluminum that's close. I need about 1 5/16", and I've got some 1 1/4", and I've got 3". So I've got a little piece of 3". I've got to turn it way down, and that's what we're going to use now. So I'm not going to bore you with all that. I'll show you a little bit of it, but this is what we've got, and I've already started trying to straighten it up. I just need 4 millimeters of it in 2 pieces. So that's where we're going now. I know some of you like the machine work, and others could probably care less. So I'll just show a little bit of it and go ahead and get them done. This just facing off the end of this piece of 3" stuff. So I've got a long way to go to get it down to the size I need. Okay, we've got our OD, so now we've got to start our ID. Just stepping it up. This is up to 1 inch. I believe my target is 1.115. Okay, we're right at 1 inch. And we need to go to 1115. So we'll finish it out with a boring bar. Okay, we've got our dimension. So now we'll cut our washers. Okay, I'm going to cut these at 2.5 millimeters. Looks like about 1.6 millimeters is what we need, but I'm giving it just a little extra. Deburr that fresh edge a little bit. Okay guys, got them made here. That's what it's going to look. Oops, I got 2 of them on there. That's what it's going to look like right there. And this is the new tube here. Well, if I could get it started. There. Okay, and there you go. That takes up the slack. It's a little less work, and what are you taking up? You're probably taking up 2 or 2.5 threads. So you've got plenty of threads in there. All this is doing is holding the spring in anyway. So I think we're good to go. There's the other one. Let me go ahead and get over there and we'll try to finish putting this together now. Okay guys, got one of them put together. Everything looks okay. And now what you will have to do is you'll have to take the O-ring off to get the washer on in this case. And then just put it back on. Okay, so then let's get back where we were. Put our spring in, spacer, liner, and then we start the nut. Right up where it needs to be. And I made it a thousandth smaller so that you can run this into the triple tree and not, where it's not sticking out and causing a problem. Okay, there's our bolt tight in the bottom. Dust shield back on. So there's our new forks. Take a look at it again. We just add 2.5 millimeter to it underneath the head of the nut there, and that gets us back to where we should be okay. I just don't know why this aftermarket stuff can't be better quality assurance than it is, but I've sure had a rash of it here lately. Okay guys, there you have it. We're back together. I think it should be just fine. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't be. Just to let you know, the part number that I got was DC 351-4444, and it's supposed to be for the DT250, RT360, DT400, 71 to 76. This is a 72. So it certainly falls in there. The only other one that I see them list is the earlier 250, 360, which would be 68 to 69. That one should be a DC 351-4441. So according to the package, I've got the correct one for my bike. I just don't think they cut back the threads far enough in the tube here for everything to go in. And here we go with our I've got just a little bit sticking. I've got just the washer sticking out and the cap, because I've still got to take this off and put oil in it. But I don't think that that's going to hamper any problem, have any problem as far as safety or anything. We gave up a couple of threads, 3 at the max. They are 1.0 threads, so it's a fine thread metric. But you know, the finish is very nice. The size is right on. We checked it for run out, and it's very little. It's good to go. The length of the tubes, I don't think I showed that, but I did measure the length, and they are right on. So the only thing that I can see that's a problem is the machining here. The portion down here at the bottom where you put the bolt through, that is easily fixed. If it's got the burrs on it, you can just take a rat tail file and take care of the burrs. But my question is, why should you have to? Anyhow, this is, I think, complete and successful, but did I save money? That's the question. I would say not. I am going to call those folks this next week and just see if they know about this issue. If they've got some that are right, I'll certainly like them to send me a new pair, and I'm sure they will. I've heard a lot of good stuff about them, and I've bought a lot of stuff from this vendor and over the years. But that being said, I've got probably 2 hours into making 2 washers. So if you're looking at machine time, if you don't have the equipment, then you're looking at a good an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours worth of machine time to do that, and that's probably going to be $200 or close to it. So I would ask them first before you buy. At this point, this may have been the only bad set. It may be more. There may be more. I don't know. But I'll tell you what my dimensions were, and these are just close. With the original ones, I had 17.12 millimeters between the top of the tube and the beginning of the threads. And on the Dachi, it was 13.22 millimeters from the top of the tube to the beginning of the threads. So there's quite a bit of difference there, but when I ran the nut down all the way, it was showing that I was only 1.63 millimeters from having the cap come down on top of the tube like it's supposed to. So that's why I made the washers 2.5 millimeters. I just wanted a little extra headspace there, just to make sure, and I wasn't giving up that much to get it. So that's what I would do. I would check if you're going to order some of these things, and like I say, the one that I ordered was the DC 3514444 for the 1972 RT-2, and it's supposed to fit 71 to 76, DT2, RT2, and the 68 and 69 is a completely different one, and I don't know what they're like. You know, maybe they got them packaged wrong. I don't know. But anyhow, that's what I had to do to fix this. Again, I don't know why I need to harp on the aftermarket, but if you've been following my videos here for the last 6 months or so, you can see how much stuff that I've had to rework. And the average person at home that doesn't have a lathe, doesn't have a mill, doesn't have the equipment to do it, they're going to be sending it back, waiting again, and whatever. You know, there's just, you know, sending stuff back in the mail. It's hard enough getting it here the first time, the way the mail is these days, and and a lot of the other freight vendors for that matter. So I would just, if you're gonna go this route, I would call and verify that those threads are in the right position before you do it. Okay, enough of that. Thanks for going along on the ride. We'll see you next video.